Newly leaked cables from the UK ambassador to the U.S. are raising questions about the two countries' relationship. They were first published by the Daily Mail and span the period between 2017 and today, and they cover everything from the president's foreign policy to his re-election plans. Now, in the memos, the British ambassador describes President Trump as inept, insecure, and incompetent. Those are quotes. CNN White House correspondent Boris Sanchez joins us now. Boris, we have heard now from, I know, the British government, but have we heard anything from the White House in response?
Anna, no comment yet from the White House on these leaked communications to the Daily Mail coming from the UK's top diplomat to the United States. Really an eye-opening perspective on the way that the ambassador views President Trump in this White House. In these communications, he calls the White House dysfunctional. He suggests that President Trump, as you said, is inept. He says that his presidency could potentially crash and burn. He also questions President Trump's perspective on a potential military conflict with Iran, his close relationships with Russians. This really is surprising. As you know, Anna, President Trump is not someone who enjoys criticism. We're expecting a scathing response from him at some point, but he has yet to tweet anything out. This really comes at an awkward time, too, for the relationship between the U.S. and the U.K., considering that President Trump was in the U.K. just a few weeks ago, receiving all the pomp and circumstance that comes with a state visit, even joking that the Queen had a great time with him. So the question as to how President Trump is going to approach a response and whether this could portend to the relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. in a damaging way, that's yet to be seen, Anna.
Now, what's the word from the UK government?
Right. Their Foreign and Commonwealth Office put out a statement a short while ago. They're essentially not rebuking what the Daily Mail says, but saying that the ambassador is doing his job. They write, quote, "The British public would expect our ambassadors to provide ministers with an honest, unvarnished assessment of the politics in their country. Their views are not necessarily the views of ministers or indeed the government, but we pay them to be candid, just as the U.S. ambassador here will send back his reading of Westminster politics and personalities." Again, they're not refuting what the ambassador said in these communications, but suggesting that his views do not necessarily align with all of the leadership of the U.K. Anna.
Out of Florida, we're hearing reports of an explosion in the town of Plantation. Polo Sandoval joining me now. Polo, looking at these images, it appears to be a portion of a strip mall there in Plantation, Florida.
So here's what we know right now, Fred. Authorities now saying that apparently a gas explosion occurred there in that shopping complex here. This is just west of Fort Lauderdale in Plantation, Florida. This plaza here containing multiple businesses, restaurants, a grocery store. It certainly would be a concern here, especially on a Saturday afternoon here. When it comes to injuries, the Plantation Fire Department on their unverified Twitter account tweeting that there have been multiple patients reported at this location. And as you see here, an aerial view courtesy of our affiliate WPLG shows some extensive damage, which is certainly something that will be highly concerning here for authorities. You're looking at a portion of what is an LA Fitness there. I was looking at sort of a street view look at the area here, and as we said, there are multiple locations there, including that gym. At this point, authorities are simply asking that people stay away from the region, as they have been working to see now for close to an hour and a half or so. But it really is quite dramatic scenes right now, live scenes that we're seeing coming out of Plantation, Florida, where again, authorities there in that Florida community reporting an apparent gas explosion at a shopping center. This again in Plantation, Florida, just west of Fort Lauderdale. Fred, we're going to stay in touch with authorities as soon as we hear more about what is actually happening there. Of course, we're going to bring that information along to you.
So, Polo, did I hear you correctly? You said working this for about an hour and a half, meaning authorities have been there on the scene for about an hour and a half, or is it being reported at all from authorities that this explosion happened an hour and a half ago?
The initial tweet, Fred, was posted about 3 hours ago by the Plantation Fire Department, and in their own words, a gas explosion that was reported on the 800 block of Southern University Drive. And that's when they also said that there would be multiple patients, that there would be extensive street closures there, mainly University Drive. So again, that is perhaps one way of telling exactly when this likely happened. But authorities have been there on the ground for quite some time, and you can tell this investigation will be quite extensive because the damage is very extensive itself.